the senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
You should not listen to men's rights advocates if you want to know what they have to say.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. And I'm here with Lauren Brooks, and we are doing This Week in the Culture War. Hello, Lauren. How are you doing?
Hey, Brian. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, you know, like it was a good day overall. We're boarding. We have a dog visiting. He's boarding with us, and his name is Max. He's been here a couple times. He and JoJo together, they're like two. Imagine if two frat boys moved in, and all they did was like fart at each other's heads and stuff like all day, and that's pretty much JoJo and Max. So, but you know, like they're really good friends.
They boof on each other.
Yeah, they boof at each other. Yeah. But yeah, also just so you guys know, we're getting the Lauren. You know, we've had her on. Have you ever been on these shows before, like back in the day?
Yeah, long time ago. At least 2 or 3 years, longer than that, I think.
Yeah. So it's good that you're like to get you back on. Is it okay? Like if we're like overreaching and like trying to like use you too much, just say the word and we'll back off. I don't want to do anything untoward without consent,
You guys have full consent, trust me. I love you guys.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be responding to a video put up by The Daily Show. There are these videos that Trevor Noah's Daily Show puts up on YouTube as a way to get people to sign up with cable and buy Comedy Central. And it's basically called Between the Scenes. And they're basically like, I guess they're probably the stuff that people talk about either after, before, or during commercial breaks. My guess is that, this is all like sort of pre-recorded with the studio audience that already agrees with him. But that's just me. A couple of these things I want you to know. I hate The Daily Show. I've never really been a big fan of it. I've always found that it's not. When Jon Stewart was doing it, it was funnier, but it was still partisan hackery, and it was still this kind of thing that I think a lot of people fell for, where they were like, "Oh, he's not doing the news; he's doing comedy." But then was it though? Like there was definitely an opinion being pushed on people, and I knew people who would say that they liked to watch it and they thought the news on that was more informative than the actual news. Now, on the one hand, kudos because you don't trust the media, but on the other hand, really?
Well, exactly. It's not like you're not getting the same scripted stories from the media. They're just making you laugh while they feed you the same bullshit.
Yeah.
So it seems more acceptable and more trustworthy, but no, it's the same fucking scripted narrative.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And it's worse because they're like I said, people trust them. There are people who trust them more than they do the media, and they think that they're getting something less biased because one time Jon Stewart went on Crossfire and basically called Tucker Carlson and the other dude, partisan hacks, and said, you guys are not doing your job as well as I am, and I'm not even doing my job. I'm a comedian. I'm not supposed to be doing the news, blah, blah, blah. So, like, full disclosure on that, not a fan of The Daily Show. When Trevor Noah took over, it got way worse, way worse, way more progressive, and it wasn't very good to begin with, in my opinion. But this isn't about the quality of the show. I'm just making the statement. So I guess, Lauren, based on what you're saying, you're kind of like on board with what my opinion of the show, right? Like where
yeah.
Okay. I don't want to speak for you, but that's where I That's what I think of it. So, okay, well, we're gonna like get into this video then. I just wanted to make the statement first. Not a big fan of Trevor Noah. If you don't know, Trevor Noah is a South African dude that is a citizen of the British Empire and now works in an American comedy show. So
yeah, he's half black, half white, right? He's one of mine, right?
I think, well, he looks it for sure, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he's mixed, yes. But that only means he's more black, don't you know? I'm serious. I'm serious.
Is he still 100% African American, even though?
Yeah. Even though,
black, half white.
and also not American at all.
Right. Well, thank you.
No, that doesn't mean that, you know, that's why I never cared for the... You've seen people do that on accident where they address, you know, African... black people that are not in America as African Americans. Like, I've heard that said about blacks in Canada and blacks in the UK, where they were like, this African American man in the UK is like, wait, but he's not American. He's
well. See now, if we can go off on a tangent for a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now I roll with the Hoteps. I love shout out to Hotep Jesus. He's the homie Uncle Hotep. Now, holy shit! I just lost my fucking.
Well, you were gonna. I think you were gonna say something about maybe the naming conventions of black identity or blackness. So like,
okay. Thank you for getting me back on track. All right,
that's all right.
Anyway, African Americans are also called. We call them Akatas. Okay, that's what it's an African derogatory term for African Americans because they're not African. They're a completely they don't have the same African culture. Okay,
sure.
So African American culture is something completely different. I don't know why they call them African Americans in other countries. That's ridiculous unless they know that they are from America. But yeah, that's weird in other countries.
It is weird. I don't want to like get too much in the weeds here because this is
no.
It's okay. But the last thing I want to say about that is I think that the term African American to describe American blacks is something that was, I think, created as a way to divide Americans. That's just my opinion. Nothing to do with men's rights. Nothing to do with Honey Badger Radio. The opinions of Brian Martinez are his alone, but that's what I think. I think that if we just... Because I never dug that there were people who say, I'm Latino American or Mexican American, for example. What the fuck does that mean? Are you Mexican or are you American? Like, can't you just...
Yeah.
What's the problem with just saying, yeah, I'm American. I grew up here. People who live in other countries do that. They say, well, yeah, I'm British, actually. You know, they don't say I'm African British. What does that even sound? That sounds weird. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's just weird.
I never cared for that hyphenated. Like, you're American. Are you a citizen? You're American.
Yeah.
So,
it's
pick one.
Americanness is not white. You know.
Right.
So it's like let's not make the hyphenated extra shit. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway. So we're going to get into this video. We already got a super chat. So guys, a couple things before I get started. Number one, send us super chats and I'll be glad to read out your comments. Carl Gus only sent us $1. I guess you have to give at least $2 to like give a super chat. So if you put another $1 in and then write a comment, I'll try to read it out. Otherwise, you know, meet the minimum. First, Lauren's mic needs a little tweak to get even with yours. Is it too low or is it too loud? Let me know. So before we get started, another thing is please hit the like button. It helps us with the analytics. That means that we get more people watching. It also protects us from YouTube's algorithms. If we know that it's got a decent sized audience, plus there's always a chance that you'll draw in new eyes on these videos. So that's good. Lastly, if you are subscribed, this is going live on Honey Badger Radio and Honey Badger live streams. If you're watching this on Honey Badger Radio, it says that I'm louder. How about I turn myself down a little bit? If you're watching this on Honey Badger Radio, then this stream once it's ended, will go offline. It will basically become set to private and you won't be able to look at it again. So what I suggest is we're only using the Honey Badger Radio thing to get people to watch us on Honey Badger live streams. So come over to Honey Badger live streams, or just Badger live streams is actually what it's called, and subscribe there, because that's where the live content goes up. Okay? And so please do that. Subscribe to Badger live streams so that you're watching the live shows when they go up. The main channel will be for, I guess, more like pre-created, post-produced content. This is for like the fast and loose stuff. Plus, we can't get monetized for stuff for streams on the main channel, Honey Badger Radio, and we also can't do super chats on Honey Badger Radio, so I'm not looking. Okay? So, with that out of the way, and I've said all the technical things, one last thing is please feed the Badger. Support us on feedthebadger.com. We always got stuff going on. We really appreciate it. Please do so. So now we're going to get into the video. Now, those of you who are watching might say, why does this woman have aqua blue hair and everyone is wearing orange? It's not because that's her normal hair color and she's a social justice warrior. It's because I had to alter the hue to protect us from copyright strikes from Comedy Central. So I'm going to be keeping the clips as short as I can anyway. I mean, like within like a 30 to 50 second size so that we don't get burned. But this is to protect us. So, okay. So let's get into the video. This video is entitled, Trump Weaponizes Victimhood to Defend Kavanaugh. Between the Scenes, The Daily Show. You're going to love this. This is insane.
For me, I feel like there is
Can you hear that, Lauren, when I play it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
a larger narrative that goes beyond him being on the Supreme Court for a lifetime, and that is the
What?
conversation and the journey that Trump, in particular, has started around this.
So Trump has started a conversation and a journey around the Me Too thing, I guess, or the Kavanaugh thing.
It's his fault. Everything is his fault.
It's his fault. He did this. Yeah.
Gotta love it.
You know, because I don't know if you saw that rally that he hosted, where he came out and he mocked Dr. Ford.
So he mocked Dr. Ford, and of course he's saying it in this sort of like solemn, like, oh, it was just. He's not gonna say it was awful and sad. He's just gonna act like it, like, oh, it was just terrible. He just mocked her. I didn't see.
Worst thing.
Yeah, it was just like it was terrible. He should not. I mean, he mocked a victim of sexual assault, rape, and murder all at the same time. I'm like, how could you do something so heinous?
Well, you know, they had to pay the janitor hazard pay to clean the trail of blood after it happened. You know,
Yeah.
My God.
All the way from the propellered planes in Hawaii to to the bed, and there was piss because let's just add some urine on top of that. So I don't know what exactly Trump said, like in terms of mocking this woman, but if he cracked a joke at the expense of someone else, why are we surprised?
Well, exactly. And I don't get it. Everything he says, they take out. They are outraged by it. It's like, what? When are you surprised at this point? It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter.
Well, you know, the thing that I find funny about this is that these people like this, right? They are the party poopers. They're the ones that say, we are the comedians. We like to make people laugh. We have the sense of humor, except when the wrong people get targeted. And so, you know, when Trump makes fun, when he was running, okay, and this, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. When he was running, who did he make fun of? He made fun of everyone who was his opponent, right? And a lot of times it was actually, like, he did it, but at the same time, he still had, it was like this, how do I put it? It was like this kind of, you know, he's just giving them shit, but he still, like, talked to them and was friendly with them. So it wasn't, like, mean-spirited. Like, he had an axe to grind. Like he was angry at them. Like he hated Jeb Bush, right? Or Ted Cruz or whatever. He would fuck with him and like make some comments, Lion Ted, and like I forgot what he called Marco Rubio, but you know, and then like Jeb, low energy Jeb, and that kind of thing. And when he was doing that, I don't remember this kind of like, you know, this tone of, oh, it was terrible what he did to Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve that. But see, but when Trump made fun of their people, then everything is different. And it's like, but this is just the guy, you know, like, and it makes you look like you don't have a sense of humor. It makes you look like, you know, the Puritans, and you are the Puritans, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
I don't know if you saw the little press conference moment he gave outside the White House where he talked about men. And he said, you know, it's a really scary time to be a man right now. Really scary time for men. Worst time ever to be a man. And then someone asked him.
Okay, I'm pausing it there for a second. So, where's the lie though? Like
Exactly. And you know what was so funny? Like during the campaign, you know, like that's when everybody kind of took it. And I have a friend who I think he would consider himself a men's rights activist. Though he's definitely interested in it. And I think if I told you who it was.
Somebody.
I'll tell you later. But,
all right. I almost got her, guys. Go ahead. Who exactly?
He's very anti-Trump, you know, and that was his thing. You know, what's this guy going to do for men's rights? Well, hello, look, this I believe is a men's rights issue because men are more adversely affected by false allegations. And let's face it, this is a conversation that is in the media right now because of everything that's happening with Kanye and Kim Kardashian going to the White House, talking about prison reform.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I never thought would happen. I never thought that we would see actual issues that affect men predominantly being brought up in the media in such a way that it is on everybody's tongue. And granted, it's not everything that we want to talk about, but shit, it's a foot in the door. I'll take it, you know?
Yeah, so, you know, like I've had that happen when this whole thing was starting up, when the election was going on, and we were building up to the election, right? And I was like, I found myself during the course of this becoming a Trump supporter. I actually didn't. Before I voted for Obama twice before. So, you know, you guys can blame me, although Chicago, it was going to go blue no matter what. So it doesn't really matter. But, you know, I didn't know what I was going to do for 2016. And then like I started watching stuff and, you know, and I became interested in Trump and I was like, you know what? It was like I did the thing where it was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give him a try because I don't really like anybody. Right. And let's see. And I heard some things that show that there's some potential. And sure enough, he won. But the funny thing is that there were people in my circles that, you know, do the men's rights thing. And they were like, well, what? He's not the men's rights candidate. And I'm like, there are no men's rights candidates. Who cares? Like, what am I supposed to not vote for anyone until an MRA gets in? Like, that's never gonna happen. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Like, it's like, okay, look, I get it. I know what you want. But for now, like, we have to live for right now. Like, I don't want to go to war with Russia. So let's not do that. Because otherwise, if we go to war with Russia, guess who's going to die? It's going to be men. So, like, let's try not to do that so that we have men that we can then fight for rights for, you know? So,
exactly.
And, yeah, so, I mean, like, I don't care if he's the MRA president or not. Like, I wouldn't make the argument. It's just about, is he, you know, is this going to be all right for now? And, yeah, I knew some MRAs that, actually, I knew one guy who I was friends with on social media, so not really friends, but and he was a devout fan of HBR and a you know, very vocal against feminism. And then the election happened. I shit you not, he was so anti-Trump that he reversed a lot of his positions after Trump won. And he's
Really?
one of the people, right now, the other day, he was basically saying, I think Kavanaugh is lying and he did something. It's like, wow, like that. You see, that's partisanship. That's not what I'm about. Like, I'm like, I want to know what the truth is. Do I have, am I inclined to have some bias? Yeah, sure. But I think that I can recognize it, and when it's appropriate, try to check it, right? But
that's not even partisanship. That's not even partisanship, okay? Because up until the election, as far as we know, Donald Trump has always been a Democrat, okay?
Yep.
It wasn't until he ran under the Republican ticket that, he was considered a Republican. But everybody loved him up until he ran. And then all of a sudden, everyone hated him for some reason. And I don't understand what lit the fire. I don't get it. Everybody was, either you liked him, you hated him, or you were jealous of him because he had all that money.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of all of those things. I think also there is this whole, like, the fact that he's like a straight white male that doesn't kowtow to this bullshit. I'm not saying he's not gynocentric. Let me point this out now. He obviously is, obviously, because he's a blue pill dude. But at the very least, I think that it's like, it's a step in the right direction. And I will say this: not only did he here, defend men, which is so unheard of. It's like water in the desert. Okay, when it comes to the mainstream politicians and the media and everything else. But also, don't forget that he is working to overturn Title IX and also to help out, the get rid of the kangaroo courts shit, which is another problem that affects men. So I don't care this is what it comes down to. I don't care what he calls himself, and I don't care what any politician in any position of power calls themselves. Like, I don't need them to tell me that they're an MRA. I care about what they do. So if they do something that helps men, then great. That's it. I don't need them to agree with everything. They can stay blue-pilled cucks if they want to. I don't care. That's their life. But, as long as you're, like, acknowledging on, like, if you say something that's like that, or do something that helps men out, or you care about them, or whatever, you start walking in that direction, or you just say, hey, why haven't we considered this over here? Then you know what? You're okay in my book, and we can work on the rest, We can work on the rest later. So that's basically what it comes down to. So anyway, I got a super chat from Albert Nada for $5 Canadian. Then he says, they are only Puritan when it comes to men's behavior towards women. Women can be as aggressive and inappropriate with us as they want to. # North Country. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right, let's continue. So he's setting the things up. So he says, Trump cares about men. It's a terrible time to be a man. And he says it like that's the punchline, but he's not done yet.
So, he said, you can be accused of something you didn't do and your life is over. That's it, your life is over. And then they asked him later, they said, what about women? What is it for them? And he was like, women are doing great.
And they're laughing at that, but women are doing great.
Exactly.
And
again, where's the lie?
Yeah. This is it. When I heard that, when I saw that story, I mentioned it on a show earlier this week, and I said, "Oh man, they're gonna lose their shit over this." Like, I knew it, and sure enough, here he is. Just like it's the punchline. Women are doing great. Everyone's laughing. Like, there's no way that's true. This guy's living in the opposite of reality. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, what are you kidding me? Women are still chattel. They're still chattel.
Literally, like 100 or so years ago.
Literally, just maybe 100 or so years ago.
So, all right. So let's continue.
And you know what I realized in that moment? Just looking at the sentiment and the message that Trump was conveying. It's a really powerful thing that I think people take for granted, and that is, for me personally, I find Trump's most powerful tool is that he knows how to wield victimhood.
That's That's it right there. That is the golden fucking moment. Trump's most powerful tool is that he knows how to wield victimhood. And you can almost sense envy in that statement. Like, God, I wish I could do that.
But where is someone to hold up the fucking mirror? Are you kidding me? He's using this man's victimhood. I can't even believe that the writers would write that. He would say it with a straight face and people would just eat it whole cloth. Are you fucking kidding me? Using his victimhood? Oh my God. They're using his victimhood. He's the victim. They're looking at him and saying, "Oh, look at this poor baby. Oh, he's crying. Oh, he's so emotional." They're using the emotions that this man is emitting in a moment of pure honesty, okay? Because he's fighting for his reputation, his life, okay? His career.
Yep.
Of course he's going to be upset. They're using that and saying, "Nope, he's still not fit to be a judge." Are you kidding me?
Yep.
He's still not fit to be on the Supreme Court. Really? I can't with these people.
Well, you know that after, by the way, speaking of that, the Kavanaugh thing, so they voted this morning to go forward with the, it was a vote to basically stop, delaying the vote. So it's going to be going on tomorrow, and it passed by one vote, actually, kept it from being, so it was super close, and it's ridiculous that it even was that close. But now they're asking for it, because the FBI basically said, you know what, there's nothing here. They said, can you please do a 7th investigation into his background? Yeah. And they were like, nah, there's you know what, we've done 6, it's enough. We're good. There's nothing else to talk about. Yeah. And now they're actually petitioning to actually have the FBI investigate something else. They want to investigate his drinking. Because, you like beer, you're probably a rapist. Oh, you're not a rapist. You're probably a drunk then. And we can't have those guys on the... So it's a never-ending, slime fest. But... this is the saying goes, SJWs always project. This is this is the finest level of projection I have seen in a very, very long time. The ability to weaponize victimhood. Whenever in history were we able to weaponize men's victimhood? Ever.
Never, because it's never been popular. Who cares about men? We have all these women that, and that's the thing. We sent all our men off to die in war, so now we have to care about all these women that are left behind. So,
exactly. How can you even think to yourself? Right. But we can keep going. But how can you even conceive that, men, they're playing the victim. Men are there's a witch hunt going on. People are using Twitter to fucking convict people. People are and it's mostly women doing it. Doing it. And they're using it to destroy people's careers. Even if they can't actually put them in prison, it doesn't matter because they can, fuck your reputation up if they want to. Yep. And then... on top of that, speaking of which, if there were people saying this about Kavanaugh, I got to point this out because this was going around. And if anybody's saying this to you, they're full of shit. This is the thing that was going on. They were like, it's not a trial. It's a job interview. So don't worry. And I think even Trevor Noah says it in this fucking video. He's not going to be convicted of anything because it's just a job interview. Well, you know what? Yeah. In the state of Maryland, there is no statute of limitations for rape. So that means he could go to jail for it. He could go to jail for it.
That's crazy in and of itself that there's no statute for rape. I'm sorry. After a certain amount of decades, evidence is no longer good. You can't it deteriorates after time. And as her story has, because she can't remember a fucking thing about it except Brett Kavanaugh, and they were laughing at me. And my problem with that is, listen, how do you know they were laughing at you? Maybe they were just fucking laughing. Maybe people were just laughing. It doesn't mean that they were laughing at you, you fucking narcissistic cunt.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's do the super chats and we'll continue. Field of Bears gives us $5 and says Trevor Noah is that feel when your straw man or your straw Trump knocks you down. Yeah, you can't even take down a straw Trump. Daniel Patterson gives us $5 Australian and says, I'm just tired of this Kavanaugh thing. One of my spiritual teachers say he isn't fit for it, but I just think let him in. How could he not be upset? Well, yeah, of course. How can you not? And also, I get it. Like, you're all the way in Australia. Like, you guys shouldn't be dealing with these little fucking issues about, people getting into the Supreme Court. And I know that it's not that small, like, not for the U.S., but for people who live in a whole other country on the other side of the world. You see, it's like, the thing is, I don't want to talk about this that much, but they're doing this. They're making me... I have to defend people who are wrongly convicted of things. And this is a wrongful conviction. And not only that, but what Trevor Noah is doing in this it's not just against Kavanaugh. This is not about Kavanaugh. This is using Trump's commentary on the Kavanaugh thing to attack men. Period. Yeah. And that's the thing that I have to I have to be cognizant of. And yes, I get the irony that Trevor Noah himself is a man. And if Trevor Noah ever gets falsely accused of anything, I won't say falsely because who knows, I will have to deal with the fact that on the one hand, I will try to defend him verbally from false accusations, while on the other hand, enjoying the schadenfreude. I will, because once you start virtue signaling about false accusations and shitting on men and like calling them all rapists and shit because you're better than they are, that's often when the accusation comes. And I'm not saying it's karma, but you're a man and you're around feminists. It's probably only a matter of time, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Scratch a feminist, find a fucking rapist. The only other thing that I wanted to say before you moved on.
Yeah, sure.
It's really interesting how now it's just before these accusations came, it wasn't just a job interview. Now it's just a job interview, and
yeah. It's no, for sure. And it's again, these are just the talking points, like the one thing that SJWs, or I'm just going to call them the left. Okay. They're the left. Okay. One thing that the left, and maybe not all, I'm sure that there's some people on the left in the fucking comment section say that's not me, but, the left that I'm concerned with, not the nice left. Okay. One thing that they're really good at doing is creating these little soundbite phrases and terms that are used around an idea or a story or a concept. And they use them frequently enough because they're easy to remember and they're a quick way to make an argument for dumb people. So when you say it's not a trial, it's a job interview, that's one of their phrases. And I've seen it used multiple times, surrounding just this Kavanaugh case. These are just these little things that you see that you have to be cognizant of that, right? When you say things like, oh, this person is saying, they're claiming that it's men who are the real victims, right? Not women. Or it's men who are oppressed in our society. You notice that feminists will say that about MRAs. MRAs believe that it's men who are oppressed. That's one of those little soundbite phrases. MRAs are not saying that. That's a misrepresentation.
Exactly. And I think what is a more fair representation of it is that the flip side of this false accusation or this whole rape culture, Me Too movement is the false allegation thing. Okay, let's face it. Okay, yeah, women are stepping up and they're pointing their finger at their abuser or whatever. But on the flip side, there are men who get falsely accused. Their lives get fucking ruined, and nothing ever happens to these women, that nobody talks about it ever. All the media will focus on is the next quote unquote victim and quote unquote rapist, and it's just.
Yep. I agree. Oh, and it's also, I mean, I can get into it also, but I think that what's happening is it's like Twitter is like a platform for people to vent their frustrations and try to say things that other people will respond to positively, like by retweeting it, liking it, or commenting on it and starting a conversation. Yeah. And it's not actually a platform for solving problems. It's a platform for complaining. No. It's a platform for complaining about problems. And there's one thing that women are good at, it's complaining about problems. But the problem with that is that men want to solve problems. So when a woman goes on Twitter and complains that some guy, ogled her or wolf whistled at her and then puts a hashtag #MeToo next to it, men are like, well, we got to do something to protect these women. And so you end up, that's how the witch hunts happen. That's how Emmett Till happened. That's how the Salem witch trials happened. Because, yes, more men were killed in the Salem witch trials than women, and more women were pointing the finger at people and calling them witches during the Salem witch trials. It was actually done. It's you have a social policing that has real physical consequences. And these things are not that much different.
It's not. It's really is, history, it repeats.
Tyler Preston gives us $2 and says, try saying that if Kavanaugh was a black man. Oh, man, they'd be so confused. But they'd probably just call him Uncle Tom and a coon and all that. So there's that. They could just say he's a race traitor. I mean, they were willing to throw Bill Cosby in jail, even though, again, the evidence was not sufficient to put him away. So you're only a black man to them until you're no longer useful. And then you're out.
Yep.
I mean, look at Black Lives Matter. They do that with black men all the time. French Nader 2 gives us $2 and says, due process should only be for me and no one else. All right. Let us continue the video.
He knows how to offer victimhood to people who have the least claim to it.
So when he says that, though, when he says to people who have the least claim to it, he is also saying there are people who who should claim victimhood. And men are not those people. So what does that mean?
Exactly.
Yes. Women only can have victimhood. Right?
Exactly. And there's a special kind of victim, and they are more entitled to more of a victimhood status. So even if we do acknowledge that some men may be victims, they're victims less often than women are. So they should just take a back seat because the women are more oppressed right now. So shut the fuck up, guys. Just shut up.
Yeah. If we put a couple hundred undeserving men in prison because they were falsely accused, it's worth it because the women feel safer. That's really what he's saying, but we'll get to that.
Which is a really, really powerful tool, because you realize what he's doing in that moment is he's saying the real victims of the Me Too movement are men. They're the real victims. Someone can accuse you at any time and your life is over. They're the real victims. And,
That's a lie. He's not saying that. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Exactly. But this is what I was talking about, the flip side of the coin. Yes, men get accused, sometimes falsely. That is still a victim. I would say that that's a victim. Okay, so stop acting like it doesn't happen. This flippant just denial to acknowledge the fact that, yes, in situations like this, women, yes, are victims of rape. Men are also victims of false accusations. So can we address them both at the same time without taking anything away from the other? Please?
Yeah, and also, consider this. Sometimes men are the victims of rape and women are the victims of false accusations. Look, Me Too is the main issue that men have. And look, it's actually affecting people. Like I did this Me Too thing is actually having an effect, and I don't mind that much. I mean, I think that it could be the only way that it could correct itself. That's what I'm getting at. But let me tell you, I'll give you this little anecdote. So I did a stream with Deanna Lorraine. She's the Red Pill Dating Coach. I think it was yesterday. And I was a guest on her show, and we were talking, and she was telling me that as a result of all this Me Too stuff going around, she thinks, so like she doesn't know for sure, but she has noticed that men are way more avoidant. Like they don't want to, she doesn't get them to talk to her as often. They tend to be really short with her. Like, I'm not talking about friends. I mean, like, people that she either is somewhat acquainted with, like a little bit, or strangers. Normally, I guess she's accustomed to a different kind of male attention, and now she's getting a lot of male indifference or male ambivalence. And I don't think that she's, like, I think she's a nice person. Like, I do, because I met her and I've hung out with her. I don't think there's anything about her personality that would push men away. And so one of the things that she said is, like, I don't know, do you think that this could be because of the Me Too thing? And I was like, well, yeah, I bet there are men that they're terrified, because if they're alone with you, they don't know you, right? And I'm like, if they're alone with you for any period of time, or if they talk to you, or even if they don't, look at the Mark Pearson case, you could just accuse them of something, and you can go on Twitter. You don't even have to go to the police. You can just go on Twitter. That's what a lot of these people do. That's why I don't trust them. That's why most of the time I think if a woman goes on Twitter to talk about a crime, I'm more inclined to say, where's the police report? And if they say, well, I didn't file one, but then you're full of shit. And if they say, but it happened 20 years ago, I was like, well, you should have filed one 20 years ago. As far as I'm concerned, the shit didn't happen. And I'm not trying to be cruel, but what I'm trying to do is say this. If something happens to you, do not go to Twitter. Go to the police. Period. Exactly. Full stop. If you don't do that, then you're not taking this seriously, so I'm not going to take it seriously. I'm not going to take you seriously. I'm done. And so I said to Deanna Lorraine, this is probably why this is happening. And I said, but you know what? Maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe men need to stop talking to women, stop dealing with women, period. Enough that women say, well, what did we do to make this happen? And then maybe they'll be like, oh, you know what? It's probably all this toxic shit around, the Me Too movement, false accusations, shitting on men in general, blaming men for, like, all the problems that we have. Like, maybe that's what has to happen,
Exactly. Just as with feminism, the desired outcomes are not, what's happening now is not the desired outcome that they wanted. Okay. But your actions, this is what is happening. This is the result of how you treat men. Okay. Now they're shutting down. They don't want to deal with you. They don't care if you had a problem. Go tell someone else, because we have to protect ourselves. It's, men are, it's a form of, self-preservation. Yep. Fuck it. I'm just not going to deal with you, and the same thing is like for this whole Me Too movement. Okay. Women, feminists, they have been yelling at men, stop being a rapist, just stop raping. I think the result of men being falsely accused, if we can just show how many instances, how many times this happens, I think that alone, the fear of that alone is enough for men to say, listen, I'm not going to deal with a woman because I don't want to have anything happen to me. Okay. Yep. Shouting at men and telling them, this is what you're going to do. You're going to treat me with respect, and you're not going to rape people. And that doesn't work. Okay. Because rapists don't care about what you want. It's about them in that moment in time. They don't give a fuck about your feelings or they don't care. Yep. Yep, for sure. And, women you're going to see, if this keeps going, it's only going to result in women getting screwed over, is what I'm getting at. They're going to be treated more poorly, or at least less excellent than what they're accustomed to. They're not going to find jobs as often because men are not going to hire them because they don't want women around their male coworkers. Like, there will be fewer people hiring women because they're like, you know what? She's a liability. If I bring her in a company, she could falsely accuse somebody, and that would fuck that guy's life up, and that would fuck up my reputation and my company's reputation, and it's not worth it. And you know what? A part of me hopes that happens, because it might be the only way this will correct itself.
and maybe there'll be enough men that get red pilled by the experience that will finally get what I'm hoping for, which is the MGTOW Congress and the MGTOW president, because then you'll never have to deal with any false bullshit accusations ever. And they would not spend a bunch of money on on women's programs and all this other shit. It would actually MGTOW Congress. I'm saying it now. Hashtag MGTOW Congress. Hashtag MGTOW president. Make it happen. The country will never see a level of fucking abundance and the civilization. It will be at its peak. It won't get any better. There'll be pyramids to the moon. MGTOW Congress. Anyway, let me read some super chats and we'll keep going. Agent Smith says, yeah, it's. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. I gotta go back a little bit. Albert Nada gives us $5 Canadian and says, "Has Lauren been to my channel? Check out my North Country video. If that's not irony, then there's no irony." So yeah, go to Albert Nada's YouTube channel. I'll send you there later. Agent Smith gives us $5 Australian and says, "What makes Trevor think that Kavanaugh could go back to being a judge? They won't stop trying to destroy someone deemed to be a gang rapist." Yeah. Well, I don't think they're gonna stop. They're gonna try to get him for something. They just want to ruin the man. Field of Bears gives us $5 and says, "You can totes tell men's are privileged because they need to shut the fuck up." Yeah, that's how you know. And then Albert Nada gives us another $5 Canadian and says, "Women will never ask, 'What did we do?' They'll say it's because men can't handle strong women." Yeah, that's true. I mean, but you know what? At the end of the day, there'll come a point where they're at home with their cats and lonely, and they're going to be writing those "Where have all the good men gone?" things, and that'll be it. I mean, I'm just saying, maybe we need to make the reproductive genetic bottleneck. Maybe we need to reverse it. I don't think that that's likely to happen because men want pussy too much, but it would be nice. Okay, let's keep going.
If you're against Trump completely, or if you see through it, you go like, "Oh, that's nothing." But I think people take for granted how powerful that message was. There are a lot of men who that message will connect with, because that's a feeling that many men have. There's many men
It's not a feeling, it's a thing that actually happens. Don't dismiss it as a feeling. Feeling is your thing, Trevor. That's your thing. Men are looking at the data. They're looking at what happens, and they're saying, "You know what? I'm not letting that happen to me." That's it.
will be afraid to admit it maybe, but there's many men who do have that feeling where they're like, yeah, I mean, this Me Too movement, it's gotten out of control. And at any time, someone can come out and accuse me, and I always go to people, I'm like, what do you mean it's gotten out of control? What does that mean? And they'd be like, well, every week it's a new famous person has been accused, and it's out of control. I'm like, we look through it. It's maybe what, 100 and something people? That's how many people have been Me Too'd. That's how many people have been held accountable. 100 and something. That's not like a life-changing number of men.
Yeah, fuck those guys. What? Fuck those 100 and something guys. I'm not one of them, so fuck them. Yeah, I mean, I get that most of them are male feminists, but right. Geez, Trevor, try to, be on your camp side a little bit here. Go ahead, Lauren.
Look, if you're guilty, you're guilty. Fuck it. You do the crime, pay the time, but
yeah.
It's just how many is it going to take? How many is enough, Trevor? How many is enough?
No end in sight. Plus, exactly. When he said, and this is important too, because these are the ways they twist their words, and this is why I made this a show so you guys can see this. He said about 100 and something famous people have been Me Too'd. Fuck the famous people, okay? What about regular people? What about regular men who have been Me Too'd? How many of those? How about regular men who have been falsely accused before Me Too? Have you ever heard of the Innocence Project? Do you know how many men that they've saved? Not even saved, I would say, got the charges reversed on that already spent years, if not decades, in prison for a crime they did not commit. What about those people? Right?
Exactly. Why are we talking about these rich Hollywood elites?
Yeah.
And let's stop pretending like everyone doesn't know that Hollywood and the music industry is a hotbed of fucking sexual impropriety, and favors for this. Come on. Are you kidding me? I could tell you some stories that would spin your fucking head. And
Yeah.
We're not going to do that on this show.
I like, I like that he does the whole, it's just a couple hundred men. I want you guys to remember this moment, okay? Because if Trevor Noah ever, in the future, ever brings up an instance of a singular person that becomes a victim of something because he wants to use it to his advantage, like Heather Heyer, for example, who died at the, Unite the Right thing. If he ever brings it up, you be sure to say, but it was just one bitch. Who cares? It was just one bitch, right? If, and maybe you should put a comment in here saying, yeah, Emmett Till, he was just one black guy. Fuck that dude. It's just one man. He probably, that was no trial, and they lynched him, but, he probably had it coming. I mean, there's a good, I believe the woman because she sounded pretty legit. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, these people have no principles.
None.
No principles.
None whatsoever.
All right. Okay, so let me read another. We keep getting super chats. Thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks. See, Lauren, you should use that. That was a good way to say it. Just put a little bit of, smoke in the voice. We'll get lots of super chats.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah. See? Agent Smith gives us $2 Australian and says, dating coaches for women are starting to be a thing. Yeah, well, actually, Deanna Lorraine, the Red Pill dating coach, she started off as a dating coach for men. But after a while, she saw that the problem wasn't men, the problem was women. And that's actually who she's targeting. So she's trying to help women be better women for men. So
yeah, I've seen some men, female coaches, teaching women how to deal with men. It kind of seems to me maybe a little bit more authentic coming from a man teaching women how to deal with men. But no, women are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of undiagnosed mental illness running rampant in my gender. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not one of them. But yeah. It's, you gotta watch out. But no, that women absolutely need to stop and really take stock of themselves and their behaviors and how they deal with each other. Not only just how they deal with how you deal with other women. Women hate other women. And rightfully so. If you
Well, I know that if there's one thing that women are good at, and maybe sometimes I think better than men, is when other women are full of shit. Women know when other women are full of shit. And we need women that can call them on their shit. Because sometimes it's not that men are dumb. I think that men are just too cucked to actually point it out. And not always, but, they can be.
Men are complacent, because they just want to do whatever makes the woman comfortable and happy. That's what men want, to protect women. They want to make women happy. And I love and appreciate that about men. But guys, you have to stop that shit, okay? Because this is a new era. We are in a gender war. These women are out to get whatever they can from you and go back and, laugh at you with their friends. So you have to protect yourself and don't be shy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Grab your fucking nuts and don't stand for this shit. Don't
no, it's true. And women need to nut up too. Ovary up.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Okay, so Frenchinator 2 gives us $2 and says, being held accountable, evidence. Yeah, I know. What those things are crazy. Xeranx gives us $2 and says, Tommy Lauren might get Trevor Noah. I'm not really sure about that, but she's been on the show and it was brutal. But anyway, let's continue.
Do you know what I mean? They make it sound like all men have been accused.
Bullshit. No, they're not.
No,
this is a straw man. No, there are men. Nobody's saying that. That's bullshit. But again, just call them on the strawman arguments.
All right? But 99.9% of men have not been accused. It's just the narrative that has been created is that these 100 men represent all the men and all men should be afraid of it. But 100 men, you could fit 100 men into a comedy club and then Louis C.K. could come and surprise them. That's how few that number is. It's not...
That's because 99% of men are not rapists, you fucking asshole. Jesus Christ. That part right there, when I watched that video, that part right there, I wanted to throw my phone out of the fucking car window. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Okay,
and no, actually you make a really good point. And let's add on top of that. So he said 99.9% of men have not been accused, confirming that 99.9% of men at least are not rapists. Now let's also take the 100 or so celebrities who have been accused. And now how many of those are actually fucking innocent? And that's how many more men are not fucking rapists. Oh, and one of those men, by the way, is Louis C.K., who didn't rape anybody. He said, do you mind if I jerk off in front of you? And the women were like, go for it. And he did. That's not rape. That's not sexual assault. That's not sexual harassment, right? That is, at worst, sexual misconduct. But I mean, if that's his fetish and they're into it, well then, what the fuck is the problem? Right?
Exactly. And I'm going to say something that is also my own unpopular opinion. So every woman that is raped, okay, the trial doesn't always end in a conviction, okay? It might just be there wasn't a preponderance of evidence to convict that guy or that person that you're accusing. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. I'm not saying that, well, fuck it. But I mean, that's that is a possibility. There is a chance that your rapist could go free because there's just not enough evidence to convict the man. And it sucks, but it happens,
Yep.
So.
Yep, absolutely.
This whole.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, someone here, and actually somebody just said this too, somebody at Honey Badger Radio could go on Twitter and accuse Trevor Noah of raping her. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? Maybe everybody should do it. Trevor Noah raped me. Maybe I'll do it. It doesn't have to be like I mean, he did, I think. Pretty sure. It was a long time ago, and I don't, but he looks familiar, so I'm pretty sure it was him. So yeah, I think so.
The bar has been dropped so low. Anyone can accuse anyone anything anytime. You know, we are talking about a person who otherwise for the past 40 years, no one has had any ill word to say about the man. But at the drop of a hat, all of a sudden, somehow now it's a problem. You tell me how that couldn't happen to any other man in this country. And I'm sure it does happen every day.
I'm sure it does.
Maybe not every day, but
no,
enough.
Absolutely. It does. And it's not just, women don't have to. The thing is, too, is that the line between rape and something less than rape is so blurry, it may as well not exist. I mean, basically everything is just rape now. Exactly. It's all rape now. So it's and when you take that and then you add the Me Too movement and then you add the witch hunts and then you add like the instances where someone is convicted of something but it's not rape, like Brock Turner, who was him and his girlfriend were both drunk and he got caught fingering her, but then what happened after that? He gets 3 months and it's like home. I think he's in his home or something like that, and there are people waiting outside of his house to lynch him. This is this is the problem, but you know what? Trevor Noah, it's just a couple hundred guys, and we shouldn't. Why are we making a big deal out of it? Women are the real victims here. Women that decided to wait 20, 30, 40 years to go on Twitter and complain that some guy whistled at her or grabbed her butt at work once. Those are the real victims. And I know I'm not trying to minimize actual rape victims, but if those people didn't go to the police, like at some point, somebody, as soon as they were able to, then they must not have thought it was that serious at the time. So I don't feel that much for them.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Hoki Bukisa says, for $4.99, when was the last time the Daily Show was actually funny? Never. I mean, like maybe back when Jon Stewart was doing it in the Bush years, there were some parts that I thought were funny, but It was more about how we performed rather than what the stories were about. Hoki Bukisa gives us $1.99 and says Louis C.K. is proof that consent is not good enough. Yes, it's not. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Good point.
That many people. But they make it feel like it's a lot of people because then what they do is they create an idea that all men need to band together to stop this from happening because it could happen to you.
No, and they shouldn't do that?
You got a better reason?
Men, they might band together and do something. We wouldn't want a single gender to unite under a banner to accomplish goals to protect itself from harm. That's crazy. That's divisive and destructive. What a bad idea. I'm sure glad we don't really want that happening. Woo, we wouldn't want that men doing that. Oh my God. Albert Nada gives us $5 Canadian, says, Trevor Noah raped Brian. I was there. I tried to stop him, but I was being raped by Steve Cobra at the time. There you go. I remember that now a little bit more. Yeah. I was really, really drunk. I think there was something in my drink, in fact.
I thought you only had one beer.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm a cheap date.
I guess so.
Okay.
Right? And then men become the victims. And it's such a powerful tool to use. Because if you can convince men that they're the true victims of the Me Too movement, you get men to fight against the movement that's really about holding men who are doing bad things accountable, as opposed to making all men scapegoats for something that they're not doing. But you get what I'm saying? It's such a powerful, gripping idea. That
I like how the audience was like, bah, bah, bah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Bah, bah, bah. I don't think for myself. Bah. No, motherfucker. That's not what it is. Men don't. He's crazy. He thinks that men don't want men that rape to suffer a penalty.
Right.
Dude, if there is a group of people that is most likely to make men pay for raping someone, it is other men. Like,
God. Yeah, dude. If we were playing the shot game for straw men, I'd be dead of liver failure.
Yeah, let's not do that.
No.
Let's not do that. Okay, I'm gonna do one more sound clip, I'm afraid, guys, and then we got to go into the after show because I can only go for an hour. It's a hard stop, and then we're gonna do a half hour or so with the patrons, and we'll just continue the video. But I think you guys got the general thrust of this video. It's basically Trevor Noah projecting so hard that I'm pretty sure he's gonna pull something, and it's not gonna bounce back. So let's just do another clip.
That Trump does really well. Because when you think about it, you go, I know that people be like, but what about, I've seen men who've been falsely accused. And I go, yeah, but how many? Or let me ask it to you this way. How many men, percentage-wise, have been falsely accused of a sexual assault? And how many women have actually been sexually assaulted? You know what I mean? I'm willing to bet in this room as we sit here now, if I said to the men, how many have been accused of sexual assault, there'll probably be nobody in this room who has. But if I said to the women in this room, raise your hand if you've been catcalled or your ass has been grabbed or a guy's made a lewd comment.
Let me finish this clip, but I'm just pausing for the banana, but notice what he's saying. Okay, let's keep going.
At work, or somebody has made you feel unsafe sexually in some way, or you've actually been sexually assaulted, I regret to say that there would probably be many hands that would go up in the room. But we have now been told that the ratio is like, oh no, it's more men, it's men. But the truth is it's women. Women are the victims in this situation. It doesn't mean you got to be feeling sorry for women, but it's like, no, but the women are the victims, and that's what.
Oh, yes, it does. You fucking asshole. Yes, it does. You want us to feel bad for being men. Yeah. Do you want to say something about this first, or because I got some things to say, but.
I mean, the obvious banana in the room is the lumping together of catcalling and sexual assault into rape, and the whole the ratio, the 1 in 4, the one. Is it still 1 in 4? Is it down to 1 in 2
I think it's
now?
actually 1 in. No, I swear to God, I think it's 1 in 3 now. I swear to God, I think the last time I saw it mentioned, it was 1 in 3.
Are you sure it's not like 1 in 2 thirds?
Well, we're working up to it. We're working up to it. You don't want to just throw 1 and 2 at everybody like right off the bat.
You gotta ease it.
We gotta keep expanding the definition. Once we've expanded what rape is, then we can expand those. We got to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Get those numbers up.
Exactly. You have to make everything be rape. That way you convict everybody and no more rape happens. See?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
logic 101.
Here's the thing that Trevor Noah says, so I can like break it down for you guys. He says, I bet that if I asked all the men in this room, if any of them have been falsely accused, nobody would raise their hand. All right. Now, let us pretend he doesn't actually poll the room, first of all.
Yeah.
So their plot, just spoiler, it never actually happens, so we don't really ever find out. But let's say that they did do that. If you were a man in a room like this, full of progressives, which is what these are, and you were falsely accused, and you didn't know how few men would raise their hands, would you raise your hand? If you were a male feminist and you were falsely accused, would you raise your hand? I would guess no. I would guess that they would be terrified to actually go against the grain. He's not just saying, I bet if I did, he's offering a challenge. He's like, I dare a man in this audience raise his hand and say that he was falsely accused. Because if you do, you are as bad as Donald Trump and Brett Kavanaugh and the men that he defends and the men who have been accused in the Me Too movement. Right? Well, you are as bad as those men. I dare you to raise your hand.
A male feminist would never raise his hand because his accusations aren't false. They're real.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Justin Trudeau. I guess in the sixth dimension, I did do it, but I wasn't aware that I did it at the time. So it must have happened because believe all women, right? So
yeah, male feminists don't have false accusations because they're actually all true.
No, it's all mistaken. I did maybe I did. I don't remember, and they just believe it.
You're missing it, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Male feminists are the sexual abusers. They don't get falsely accused.
Yeah.
Because they actually fucking
they actually do it. Yeah. I'm a little on the fence on that still. Like I think that male feminists are more likely to be predatory, but I also think that they're more likely to be falsely accused because feminists are more likely to accuse. So it's like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Kind of thing. So
it's a nice game though. I like it.
So he basically ushers a challenge to men saying if you've been falsely accused of sexual assault, you will not raise your hand because none of the men in this room are either dumb enough to raise their hand or are actually people who have been falsely accused. But then he goes, but then if I ask women if they were, and then he says catcalled, made to feel uncomfortable, like basically he used all these like broad, really, really like, airy-fairy fucking definitions of sexual discomfort. Basically, if you were a woman that ever felt uncomfortable around a man, then raise your hand. That includes people who have actually been raped and sexually assaulted, but he does this really broad definition. Like, he really widens the net. He puts the goalpost right in front. He's like, just kick it through these.
He had to be broad because he was speaking to a bunch of broads.
That's pretty good. But you see, like I said, he manipulates his question so that he's sure to get the answer he wants. He basically says, if you're a woman that's ever felt uncomfortable, raise your hand. That's all he's saying. And that'd be like all of them. So basically all the women have been raped now, and none of the men have been accused.
As if men have never been catcalled or made to
feel uncomfortable, or
sexually assaulted. Right.
I mean, it's only real if another man did it to him. Rape. The only rape that matters when it comes to men is the rape that another man did, because at the end of the day, we have to blame men. We have to find a way to blame them. And they're not allowed to be victims. They're not allowed because you can't weaponize victimhood. That's who would do that? That's so mean to weaponize the victimhood of a gender. Why would you do that to people?
Who would do that? Cue the Jeopardy. Cue the Jeopardy music.
It really, really activates the almonds.
Yeah.
It bakes my bonitos. Anyway,
Gets the noggin jogging.
gets the noggin jogging. Yes. All right, so well, I gotta read the rest of these super chats, and as much as fun as I'm having, I'm afraid I gotta like call it a night for the show. Let's see here. Field of Bears. Hey, Field of Bears gives us $2 and says, "Hey, lady, you're pretty." Is now rape. Hey, Field of Bears, if you ever send a super chat to Owen Benjamin, could you tell him I said hi? Because for some reason I can't super chat him. Tell him Brian Martinez at Honey Badger Radio says hi. I would love you forever for that. FrenchNader2 gives us $2 and says, "Thrust, rape, I say." Agent Smith gives us $2 Australian and says, "Women are the victims of men being falsely accused." Yes, that's right. Yep. That's what this would be. And by the way, a man who is falsely accused, Alison was telling me this, and I don't want, she's going to talk about it in her video that she's making. The psychological trauma of being falsely accused, and all the stress that comes with it, is close to the psychological trauma of an actual rape victim. So false accusations, in a way, rape men psychologically. Mm-hmm. I mean, could you imagine being accused of something like that? It pisses me off that people accuse me of being a racist and a sexist. That's enough to bug me. When people lie about me and my feelings and my opinions on shit, that's enough to piss me off. But can you imagine being accused of a crime? So I don't know.
Being accused of a crime is one thing.
Yeah.
I think what takes it to a different level is not being able to prove your innocence. Okay, because if you can prove that you absolutely did not do that, yes, there is still the chance that you will still get found guilty. But if there is no way possible for you to prove your innocence, my God, what does that do to a person? That's horrific. Have you? Oh, there is a show that I'm forgetting the guy's name. It's called Jesus Christ. I'm mad that I brought it up because I can't remember it.
What's it about?
So it's about a guy who gets falsely accused of rape. And basically it's that, and there's no way for him to prove his innocence. And he's a Muslim living in New York City, and he's borrowed his dad's taxi cab and went out, met this girl. He was a Muslim guy. He met this girl, went out with her once, and they went back to her place. They wake up in the morning, she's dead. So he takes off. They find the cab. They find him, they put him in jail, and there's really no way for him to prove his innocence. And it was such a good series, but it only went for one season because the guy who was the producer passed away. Yeah. And because you know who it is. If I tell you who it is, you know exactly who it is. But anyway, yeah. All right. False accusations and not being able that. I feel so bad for people that have to go through that shit because it's just, unconscionable.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
The Innocence Project, everybody, the Innocence Project. Look into it. Absolutely.
Look it up. Yeah, for sure. Albert Nada gives us $5 Canadian and says, "Listen to Lauren Schuler Donner's commentary on X-Men 2. That will make you feel uncomfortable." Oh boy. Okay, well, I'll look into that too. All right, so Lauren, it was so much fun having you on. I liked talking to you. That was a good time. Did you also have fun?
Absolutely. There were so many things that I wanted to say that I didn't get to say, but we only have so much time.
It's all right. But in the future, don't let me run a Brian train because I've been picking up Karen's bad habits and
I see.
Yeah. So just get in there and I'll shut up right away, But yeah, we're gonna go into the after show to hang out with the patrons for a bit. So if you want to be a part of that, you got to be a patron. Go to patreon.com/honeybadgerradio, and so you can become a participant in the actual show itself, or for a little less, you can just watch it. It's just like this. It's just gonna be a lot more soup's cash, and we're not gonna we're just gonna keep it loose and fun and try to have a blast. So. Thanks, Lauren, for coming on. Maybe we'll do another one of these sometime. If you guys liked this show, please give it a like. Also, leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. Some of you, I noticed, came here from Honey Badger Radio. We cannot do chat and we cannot do super chat on HBR, so I'm running the stream there, but come to this one if you want to be a part of the conversation. The people here are awesome. And yes, and we look forward to seeing new faces to join the conversation. The more the merrier. So we hope to see you guys again very soon. Thanks for coming on this episode of This Week in the Culture War. We'll see you guys very soon.
Thank you guys. Loved it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.